Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to my Superblast review, ASICS Superblast review. Khan is here to remind you to LSD, like, subscribe, and ding the bell for notifications. Let's get into it.
Good morning, Khan. What do we have here? What do you think about that, huh? Good morning, Mr. Superblast. Sizing. Went true to size. I think that was the right choice on these. I didn't need to size up like I did in the Metaspeed Sky Plus or Edge Plus. I think I've got the appropriate amount of room, good width. The upper is a little bit more structured than I thought it was going to be. Let me compare it with some other ASICS shoes as far as sizing. Okay, I got the Blast 3 here on my left foot and the Superblast on the right. About the same amount of room, maybe a hair more room in the Blast 3, and it has a little bit more flexible of an upper. You can tell it's a little bit lower to the ground here, even though it is not a low to the ground shoe. But I would say it would be safe to go the same size in these. These are both a men's 9.5. Yeah. All right, Superblast on the right foot. Gel Nimbus 25 on the left foot. Again, both true to size, both men's 9.5 US. Superblast, I think might even have a little bit more room, but I'm probably just looking for it, and it's probably the same. Of course, the Nimbus has that plush upper all around, and this is more of just this lightweight, I don't know, plasticky material. It's not uncomfortable. It's just lightweight and but still kind of almost rigid. Okay, still with the Superblast on the right foot, and this is the Metaspeed Sky Plus on the left foot. If you've seen my Edge Plus video, you know that in the Sky Plus and in the Edge Plus, I size up a half size. So this is a men's 10 on the left foot and a men's 9.5 on the right foot, and they feel very similar in size. There might be a hair more room in the one where I sized up to a 10, because that one, I guess, is a slightly smaller last. But they don't feel all that different, considering this is a half size up. In fact, the half size up in the Metaspeed Sky Plus and Edge Plus fits about the same as true to size in the Blast 3. So after all those comparisons, I think going true to size on the Superblast is the way to go, for me at least, in a men's sizing. Yeah. So for my first run on the Superblast, I was gonna do some, tune-up cruiser intervals, just because I have a race this weekend. I have the Elm Street Run 10-miler, but Derek is doing a progression run today, where he's going from kind of a fast, easy pace through marathon pace down to what would be closer to my half marathon pace, I think. And I figured, that would be a great first run for these shoes, and it would be a decent tune-up too. So, not my first color choice, but pretty good choice, I guess, considering I run in the dark most of the time. At least I'll be very visible. So, first run on the Superblast, 8.2 miles, 56-minute run time. Progression run, cutting down about 10 seconds a mile for 6 of those miles. Going through the paces, felt like a fun shoe. Don't know if I would take it much faster than half marathon pace, but it will definitely be a good trainer. I'm gonna add more thoughts on this later. Yeah, here's a shot of it. Good morning. I just did my second run in the ASICS Superblast. I don't often run in the same shoe 2 days in a row. In fact, I almost never do that. But I brought it out today just for some easy miles and some strides, mainly just to get some more miles in it before I race on Saturday. I'm not going to race in these shoes by any means, at least not a 10 miler. But yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, when you just start running and you're not quite awake yet, your legs are still a little tired. I did do that progression run yesterday, that it's like, these are kind of stiff for an easy run, but after 5 or 10 minutes or so, once you get going and that base run effort kind of feels smooth, you know, settle into a 740, 730 pace, and it feels right. You know, sort of like how a Saucony endorphin speed would feel just really easy to run at, even at an easy pace, you know, or a fast, easy pace. Different feel than that shoe, but kind of that same effortless, you know, speed to your volume. Did 8 strides at the track at the end of the run, and you know, you look at this big chonker of a shoe and you wouldn't reach for it just to do strides, but it didn't feel horrible. You know, it's got a really easy roll to it. You know, I wouldn't take it for a track workout necessarily, but if someone wanted to pick up the pace during a base run or a long run, then it would be good for that. As a lot of people have said, it's probably going to be a great shoe for long runs where you're throwing in some pace, or just base runs where you want to pick up the pace a little bit, whether you should or not, but you know, just want to, you know, drop 10 or 15 seconds per mile just to kind of feel faster for the day. I'll do another run or two in them before I give my final thoughts. So I've just done my 4th run in the ASICS Superblast. I've got about 38 to 40 miles on them now. Some of those miles progressing through marathon paces, even close to half marathon paces. A couple of those runs I threw some strides in at the end, mainly to get tuned up for the 10-mile race I did yesterday. And then I did a 12.8, close to 13-mile long run in them today, which, considering I raced yesterday, I was on tired legs, just kind of seeing how they would feel then. Like I've alluded to, they're probably not what I would wear on an easy day, but they felt pretty good turning over even after a hard effort yesterday for a long run. So I'll get my thoughts together and share some comparisons and what I think. Okay, it's time for some shoe talk. Talking about the ASICS Superblast. I've done 4 runs on this shoe and getting close to 40 miles. A little bit of a variety of paces in there. Most of it has been at a regular base pace though. Picking up the pace a little bit, getting a taste of the different training zones. Because as many of you may know, this is supposed to be a long distance trainer that can pick up the pace and kind of get some of those marathon pace miles in there too, for which I think it does pretty well. I'm going to compare it with some other shoes that kind of are in the same category, or you know, kind of fit the same role. We'll talk about this one by itself first. It is a non-plated trainer, but it's still fairly stiff. It is a super stack height, so it's well over 40 millimeters in the heel, and in the high 30s in the forefoot. I forget the exact measurements. I know it's an 8 millimeter drop, and I know it's, you know, past the legal racing limit if you would choose to race in these, but as long as you're not an elite and not gonna win a marathon major, that's just fine. Freshfoam Turbo is the main slab of foam that's in there, and that's the same foam that's in the Metaspeed shoes, the Metaspeed Sky Plus and this Metaspeed Edge Plus. So that's their marathon racing PBA based foam. But below that is the Freshfoam Blast Plus, which is in the Nova Blast, which is one of my favorite daily trainers.
and ASICS has been using that foam a lot. I thought it was interesting that they would put the softer foam on bottom and put the more responsive, firmer, I guess, foam on the top, but it makes sense when you're actually running. AHAR plus rubber for decently good traction there. Again, I'm showing the left shoe because the left shoe I always wear down more quickly than the right shoe. In my high wear area, there's a little bit of creasing, a little bit of abrasion there on the midsole. Actually, more abrasion right here between the outsole pieces, especially right there. I'm very much a 4-foot, mid-foot striker. But, you know, it's to be expected at this point in the shoe's life. Still many, many miles left in these. So, what are we comparing this with? The obvious comparisons are going to be with the New Balance Super Comp Trainer and the Adidas Prime X Strong. Both fun shoes, both big old chonkers too. The New Balance first. This I would use as more of a long distance or easy day shoe. It's got that Energy Arc carbon plate in there, and you can tell where it's been eaten up by rocks getting stuck in there too. There's quite a bit of miles on this one, well over 200 miles on this one, and I've put it through a lot of work. Can I pick up the pace in this shoe? Yeah, I can, but I would say only if I have to stop to use the restroom and then catch up to the rest of my buddies. I wouldn't actively take it for a marathon pace workout. It's going to be a little bit heavier than either of these two shoes as well, by at least a couple of ounces, or by at least 60 or 70 grams for those who use the metric system like we all should. This is a very comfortable shoe. The upper is fantastic, the fit is fantastic, and when I first tried them on, I was just laughing out loud at how bouncy and how high off the ground they were. Yeah, I'll run this shoe into the ground and feel like I will have gotten my use out of it. The Prime X Strong is a very fun shoe. I will say that I would not have gotten this shoe unless it were at a serious discount, one of the Adidas 30% discounts, just because it can be an expensive shoe. The upper is awesome. I do like the looks of the shoe. It is just, this is 50 millimeters of stack height in the heel. I like the energy rod technology that Adidas employs. I think it works great on the Adidas Adios Pro 3. On this shoe, there's just so much foam, so much Light Strike Pro that it's really bouncy, and it's a different bounce than you would get from some of the more PIBA-based foams. This is a TPEE-based foam. In that, there's a lot of give and spring back rather than a bounce. This is a very unstable shoe. The outsole is great. I think that'll last for a lot of miles. But this would be best if you're running a marathon in a straight line. Well, not even a marathon. I wouldn't race a marathon in this shoe. But if you're running in a straight line, it's fun to pick up the pace in, and then after the first couple miles, you look down at your watch and realize you're going 30 seconds faster per mile than you thought you were. But I don't know that I'm going to take it for 20-mile long runs. Maybe. I mean, I'm still going to run in it because I have it. But I think as far as functionally speaking, this one, while not as bouncy, not as much of a novelty, I would say, is going to be more useful. I think it's going to be good for long runs where I insert pace, or those medium long runs that we sometimes put in the middle of the week when we want to boost up our mileage. I wouldn't use it for my easy recovery days, but I have found that even just on a day where my legs are tired, the first mile kind of sucks in these until you can really get your body warmed up and your legs moving and your heart rate up, and then you can kind of activate that foam a little bit more. Otherwise, I would be more likely to take something like the Nova Blast for a daily run. Something that I would say fits the same function as these, although in a different way, is the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3, which is a Swiss Army shoe. And by that I mean it does everything, and it does everything pretty well. Are there better racers? Absolutely. But as far as trainers go, this one races better than most trainers. It will handle a long run just because there's all of that Power Run PB midsole in there with a nylon plate. It will handle speed workouts for the same reason. There's a nylon plate in there to help stabilize that high energy foam, and it's pretty light. It's also cheaper than any of the other shoes that I've just shown you. So unless you want something that's going to be a high stack height, and will probably last, well, this will last quite a while too. If you want something that's a little bit more traditionally stack height, this would be just as good an option as any of the three. However, I'm going to put miles on all three of those other Supermax shoes because they're fun. I think these are about equal in weight, and that tells you something with this being a, well over 40 millimeter stack height. And sometimes you just don't want a plate, not even a nylon plate, and this would be good for that. It's still pretty springy. It's about the same weight as a Kinvara, if that tells you anything. Maybe a little bit heavier, but certainly lighter than most daily trainers. So that's my thought on the Superblast. I think if you're going to buy one of these three shoes, go with either the Superblast or the New Balance Supercomp Trainer. This one is a novelty. Love it, but it's a novelty. And as far as which one of these you want to get, it all depends of on how many of those miles you want to get at a faster pace. Faster would be leaning towards this one. All right, thank you for watching my Superblast thoughts and my shoe talk. Don't forget to LSD, like, subscribe, and ding the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.